Hi friend, this is Hemant here, and today we'll be learning about Sas. So Sas by its website definition means syntactically awesome style sheet. So its website also defines Sas as CSS with superpowers. So some of the features of Sas are like it is CSS compatible. It has rich features which we'll look into this video. It is mature and it is industry approved. It has large community base and it is used by many frameworks. Okay, and so in this video what we will be going through is first like how to install Sas, second use whether to use SCSS or Sas, and third variables in Sas. Okay, so first how to install Sas. So if I am in my Visual Studio Code and I am going to first let me save this. So let me save this as Sas. First we'll see how to install Sas. So now I am in Visual Studio Code and I will go into extensions and let me search for live Sas compiler. Okay, and let me install this live Sas compiler. So what this will do is I will write my code in SCSS file with an extension of SCSS and it will convert this into CSS file. Okay, so now it is installed. We would since we are in the extension tab, we would also require live server. Okay, so this is nothing but like we would be creating an application with index.html file. So if we want to run that file on a server, we would require this live server. So live server is already installed on my Visual Studio Code. Okay, and let me go into the folders. Okay, so let me close this. So now what we have done is we have installed live Sas compiler and live server, and let me create a file called index.html. okay, and one more file called scss, sorry, style.scss. okay, so when you installed Sas, the live Sas compiler, you'll see at the bottom you have this watch Sas. So live compilation of Sas or SCSS. So you see that Sas and SCSS. So what is this SASS versus SCSS? So like in Sas there is a minor difference in how we write the CSS code. For example, if we need to write a CSS, this is how we write: body, and then inside that if we need to change the background color, we would write as blue, and if we need to change the border, what we do is 1 pixel solid red. This is how we generally write a CSS. So in Sas, there is a minor difference. We do not require this parenthesis and we do not require this semicolon. So all our indentations are based on the tabs. Okay, but in this video we will not be going through Sas because I don't feel it's like a good practice to have the indentation tell you whether this group of statement belongs to this body tag. Okay, in SCSS, so it's in SCSS it's a bit natural. Like if we need to write body tag, we would have the same syntax as we would have in a common CSS file. So if I need a background color, what I'll do is I'll write blue and border as 1 pixel solid red. So this is how naturally we write in SCSS, and this is almost same as what we write in CSS file. So we'll be using this syntax in our video. Okay, so now let me go into my style and write one body tag. Okay, and we will be using the same syntax what we wrote, background as light blue, and we would have another tag for h1, and let's give it a border of 1 pixel solid red. Okay, so when we save this SCSS file, we need to first time click on this watch Sas. So what this will do is it will see whether we have changed this SCSS file, and if there is a change, then it will compile it and convert this file into SCSS. We'll be having one more file over here called style.css file. Okay, so before clicking on this watch, let me go into my index.html and create some HTML tags. Okay, let me give it a name of Sas demo, or rather than Sas we are doing SCSS, so both are called the same. SCSS and Sas are called Sas. And in the body tag, let me have one h1 tag and name it as Sas demo. Okay, and we are saving this file. Also we will be having one link tag for SCSS, and we already have this hrefs style. So anyways, our file style.scss will be compiled into style.css. Okay, so now let me go and open this and click on watch Sas. So look over here in the explorer, will be, if when I click on this watch Sas, one file called style.css would be created. So let me click on this watch Sas. So what it does is it watches for any SCSS file and then it creates this file SCSS. So you can see that it create one more file called style.sas css.map. Okay, and it's just the mapping file, so we don't require this. So if we don't require this, what we can do is we can go into our settings, click on this settings and search for live Sas. Okay, and inside this settings and format, and just below that we have this generate map. Okay, so what it says is set it as false if you don't want .map file for compiled CSS. Okay, we'll just click onto this edit live Sas compiler, just put a comma, and in this we will have live dot generate map. So by default this is true, we will change it to false. Okay, and save this file. Okay, so now let's come into the our style.scss file and try to save it again. So now when we save, we have only the style.css file. So if you see this style.css and style.scss, both are same. So what's the difference? Like, why would we create a CSS file when we can write all the CSS which is already present in my style.css? So the power of SCSS comes into play when we want to create variables. So next we will look at variables. Okay, so In my index.html I already have this body and scss file. Let's try to run this in on our live server. Open with live server. So what this live server would do is it would act as if my index.html is hosted on a server, and it would give it a port number. Okay, so let's click on this open with live server. So it opens this on port 5500. Okay, and we have our index.html file. The background is blue, and on our h1 tag we have a border of red. Okay, so now let's work on something called as variables in scss file. Let me close this setting.file and style.scss file. So we would not be doing any change in the style.css file. We'll be doing the changes on scss file, and that would be compiled into our style.css file. So we don't need to do any changes in style.css file. So let me open my style and give this a border radius of 10 pixels, and let us see if with this. So see this, our css files, scss file is getting compiled to our style.css, and we have the border radius. Okay, and let me see the border. Okay, let me give some padding as well. So padding, let me give 10 pixels and margin of 2 pixels. Let's see. Okay, so now this looks good. Okay, so we have this, and let us give it a background of green and color of white. Okay, so we have the background and this is green. Okay, now we'll define some variables. Okay, let me go into body. So how are variable defined in Sass? We need to give dollar, and let us give us background color, background dash color, and give it a color of light blue. Okay, so we have this light blue over here, so this can be replaced by this background color. Okay, let me go and replace this, and let me replace this as well. Okay, with the background color. So what I have missed over here is the dollar sign. So if my dollar sign is there, then this would be compiled into style.css, and let us see this, the back font color is in light blue, and the background is also in light blue. So now let us change this into some RPG values. Let me select some version of orange, and let us take this value. Okay, so now what would happen is this background color would take this value, and let us see how our page looks like. So see, this is how our page looks like. Okay, so you don't need to change the variable across different tags, like my body tag and h1 tag has this background color. So this is a major plus, right? When we are creating our css file, we need to change, if we need to change our background color, so we need to change it at just one position, and that it would be reflected across all the tags which are using this background color. So this is handy in, because this feature is not available in css file. So in css file, what you see this, if I open my style.css, see this, the background color is changed to the same color what we had in the scss. Okay, so this would be compiled into whatever variables we are using, that would be compiled and actually get inserted into our background color and the color for h1 tag. So friends, this is how variables are declared in our SCSS files. Okay, so in the next video, what we'll do is we'll talk about inheritance in SCSS files. Okay, so this is a series of SCSS file wherein in the next few lectures I'll be discussing about inheritance, then mixing. So mixing is just a kind of functions we can write in the SCSS file, and this function can be passed parameters from the individual tags, and those parameters would be evaluated in the mixin function, and that evaluated values is put in the tag. So in SCSS file we can divide the files into different SCSS files, and we can include that CSS file into this style.scss file. So in the coming videos we will see all this. So if you find this video useful, do like, comment and share on my videos. Thank you.